Um, Cordial and kind greetings. I hope this video is sharing. Okay, so I'm going to present my research project, Cordial and kind greetings, dear teacher. My name is Gloria Marcela Anacona, and now I'm going to present the oral communicative strategies used on interactions between level A1 English students and native English speakers at an English institute here in St. Augustine. This is the analysis of the oral communicative strategies. This is for the master program in pedagogical mediation in English language learning. So a little introduction. Students in rural Colombia areas rarely practice English in authentic situations. So this limiting the oral development of students, and Smart Minds English Club here in St. Augustine offers the opportunity to interact with native English speakers, in which students have the opportunity to put into practice all of those things related with grammar that have already learned in their institutions and also here in the Smart Minds English Club. So this is the research problem. Due to a pedagogical gap that favors grammar over communication, this limited the functional oral proficiency, fluency, vocabulary, confidence, because there is a disconnection between learning and the real life application of the language. So this hinders the students' ability to use English in spontaneously ways with native English speakers. Why native English speakers? Here in the zone where we live, there are the opportunity to interact with native speakers because usually arrive here people from other parts of the world in order to practice the English, in order to observe the archaeological parks that we have in the region. So it is common to found people from other countries. And there is a link between the archaeological park and the Smart Mind English Club in which native speakers of people who wanted to practice English with the students have the direct contact with the institution. So arrive then as volunteers to practice with the students. So for instance, emerge this research question: how does contextual communicative interaction with native speakers influence the oral production in English of A1 level students at the Language Institute in St. Augustine? The main objective of this research is to analyze the impact of contextual communicative interactions with native speakers and strengthening the oral production in English of A1 students at the Language Institute here in St. Augustine. The specific objectives is to characterize the initial level of oral production, then to formulate some pedagogical activities to students, and then to identify some changes in oral production in English after implementing the activities. The literature review of this research is related with the communicative competence by Himes, who said that the communicative competence must move beyond grammar to include meaning, context, and interactions, and also can and so integrate another constructs, between them the strategic, the communication strategies to solve problems. The other one is the important role of motivation and self-efficacy. Journey in motivation said that motivation acts as the driving force that sustains the second language learning, and self-efficacy shapes the students' confidence and fluency in oral tasks. The third one is the contextualized and situated strategies. This is more related with the sociocultural theory that said that learning is situated and functional success requires students to deploy strategies to negotiate meaning, and Samperian Toledo confirms the importance of learning strategies for better performance. So for instance, after doing the literature review, emerged a gap that is limited studies examining how A1 rural learners interact with native speakers in authentic situations. context, and also there is a limited research analyzing the communicative strategies students use during real-time interactions with native speakers. Some theoretical constructs are related with the authentic communicative interaction. The real-life communication increases the fluency and confidence among students, and the meaningful tasks turn English into a functional tool. Also, native speakers' interaction increases motivation and positive attitudes between students. The second one is the significant learning in real context. Learning is more meaningful when connected to real-life experiences. And authentic environments reduce anxiety and increase willingness to participate. The third one, related with the motivation as a driver of second language learning. Communication influence, willingness to communicate, and self-efficacy shapes confidence in students with native speakers. Confidence in communication with native speakers. The fourth one is related with the situated learning and the sociocultural theory from Vygotsky, which established that interaction with native speakers could create a zone of proximal development in which learning occurs through scaffolding plus social participation. In this way, Smart Minds English Club acts as a community of practice of the language. This is the research method. This is a qualitative research to deeply study language in use, focusing on meaning and context, not just in numbers. The research design is descriptive ethnographic. The ethnographic allows for the observation and analysis of spontaneous communicative practices in real scenarios, also provides the holistic contextualized understanding of how students or why students negotiate meaning and adapt strategies. And also because the ethnography is applied to education is a good strategy in order that we as teachers, we are ethnographers at all, because we are immersed in our classrooms, and also we, for instance, we closely observe the students' challenges, attitudes, motivations, things that emerge in the classroom related with the English activities for the process of English language learning. The ethnography designed to integrate an action research. This study is not just descriptive, but also tries to propose something, that is to implement of contextual activities with native speakers, having in mind the context, and this position to the researcher participates, reflects, adjusts, and improves the practice of English language learning, encouraging to students the collaborative reflection, and also allows adjust processes during the English language learning. In this case, the communicative language, communicative strategies that emerge in the process of oral development. So the instruments of this research are participant observation, the field diaries, and structured interviews. The population are students of the Smart Mind English Club, and the sample are 12 students belonging to the A1 level, intentionally selected based on criteria such as consistent attendance, active willingness to participate in the communicative interactions, and continuity in the planned sessions. This is my data collection timeline. Here are the 8 weeks in which was applied the instruments in order to get the information, the data. So in the first week was applied the pre-semi-structure interview, and also was developed some activities related with the diagnosis of students, how they apply some communicative activities. And the second week was our first encounter with Sandra from Netherlands. The third week, we analyze and reflect about the previous encounters. The fourth week was our second encounter with Sarah from New Caledonia, Australia. The 5th week was the market tour, practice vocabulary, how to sing, how to buy and how to sell things, and also practicing vocabulary related with fruits, related with vegetables, the things and products of the region that are found on the market. Our third encounter with Sophia from Russia was in the sixth week, where students practice local traditions from the region. And the seventh week was about the archaeology, the parks that we have here, and the status and all the environments related to natural places and archaeological places here. And the eighth week was our grand day because it was our final guide tour. Students decide to go with an interlocutor to go to the principal market of the region in order to show him our fruits, our products, and our coffee and our sugarcane products that are in the principal market here. And was on our encounter with Denise from Germany. And after doing this, was applied the post semi-structured interview to students. And in all the 8 weeks was also applied the participant observation. The data analysis procedure, this is a descriptive analysis. The first one was to organize the data, transcriptions, and the structuring the raw test, then make the codes, categorize the data, open coding and actual coding also was applied, the operational metrics to sort data into meaningful categories like fluency, nonverbal strategies, and confidence. Then validate the data that covers the rigorous work that was the triangulation using the interviews, the observation, and the semi-structured interview. When I say here recordings, it's related with the field diaries and observations. And also the systematically present the data. This is the data analysis, the categories that emerge, taking into account the specific objectives of the research. For example, in the first objective, arise this category, oral comprehension and initial interaction, with some subcategories related with verbal fluency, pronunciation, proper use of vocabulary, communicative confidence, and conversational initiative. In communicative strategies related to the second specific objective was the verbal and nonverbal strategies students use, and the didactic strategies, the collaborative learning. In the third one, the improvements in oral production related with fluency, vocabulary, and also this one is very important, the attitudes related with the confidence and intrinsic motivation. Discussion of the results. This study shows an evident improvements in oral production, more confident initiating conversations, longer turns, reducing pauses and fillers, improved pronunciation, stress, intonation, and endings, more functional context-appropriate language use. Students, for example, report I speak more functional English now. And key findings related with the data sources, for example, in the field diaries, progressive changes in fluency and confidence. In the interviews, the students report lower anxiety and more motivation in order to participate. The observations, greater interactional autonomy plus social awareness. In the sociocultural dimension, intercultural learning through interactions, students describe, for example, the local traditions, and also they hear about foreign local traditions in their countries. Active negotiation of meaning, including gestures, paraphrases, examples, in order to maintain the interaction. Awareness of cultural differences, and the development of intercultural openness and empathy towards others and towards other cultures. So this is the conclusions. The first one is related with the efficacy of the strategy. The authentic interactions is one of an effective strategy in order that the real context interaction shifting the learning from memorization to functional competence enables the spontaneous development of strategic competence related with paraphrasing, gestures, verification, questions. The second conclusion is related with the affective impact. Students feel more secure and motivated in order to communicate with others because the possibility of making mistakes without negative consequences creates safe climate, reducing the fear of failure and anxiety. And this boosts communicative confidence. And the third one is related with the sociocultural transformation. Context is important in the process of English language learning. Direct contact in a situated environment transform English from a subject into an experiential, accessible, and motivating tool for global connection with others, and validate that the intercultural dynamics, negotiation, cultural identity, reflection about others promote meaningful and lasting learning without relying solely on other devices like technology. So this study demonstrates that low even in locations of in institutions with low resources can use the context, and in this case the native speakers of or volunteers that arrives to the English club, in order to interact with our students and putting into practice the English, and also they know more about the context that they are visiting, the cultures that are here in St. Augustine. So that process is meaningful for the students in order that they put into practice the things that they have already learned in the English language club, and also emerge new communicative strategies in order that communicate with native speakers and promotes, for instance, the process of English language learning related with the oral approach. So this is all. Thank you so much for your attention.